Hello and welcome to a special edition of the State of the Fleet Industry video series produced by Automotive Fleet Magazine. And the series designed to put a spotlight on key leaders in today's fleet management industry. And today I have the honor to interview Bob Mossing. He's the Director Global Fleet Administration for STERIS. And STERIS is a provider of products and services for infection prevention. And Bob is responsible for a fleet of 2,000 vehicles that are dispersed throughout North America, Puerto Rico, Europe, Middle East, Africa, and LATAM. And he has a $30 million operating budget for his fleet operation. So with that as background, I'd like to welcome Bob, and thank you, Bob, for joining us.
Thanks, Mike. It's a pleasure.
Well, let's start our discussion, and let's focus on what the value is for an in-house fleet manager. And if you were to be in an elevator with your CEO or senior management there, what would be your elevator pitch to senior management as to why your company or companies in general need a strong in-house fleet manager?
Sure. I don't think anybody would argue that any organization would think that their strongest asset is the employees that they hire. With an in-house fleet manager, a fleet manager is going to have a direct contact with their customers, the customers' managers, field management, and not only that, but they're going to understand and know the employees that work in the departments that assist them, such as finance, HR, health and safety, risk, et cetera. Furthermore, I think that it's really important that a in-house fleet manager understands the strategic direction of a company, and someone in-house is going to better understand that than someone who may be outsourced.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me play devil's advocate and pick up on those points. And I agree 100% with everything you're saying there. But from a devil's advocate point of view, as you say, fleet management nowadays relies really on working within cross-functional groups. You're managing millions of dollars of corporate assets, or you're collaborating on some complex technology initiatives. So the devil's advocate question is, why can't fleet operations simply be an adjunct responsibility for a senior level manager, and it eliminates the need for having an in-house fleet manager to begin with?
Sure. So I think that if a senior level manager had just responsibilities over, the high level with an outsourced fleet manager, I assume is what you mean. I don't think anybody would argue immediately there would be some savings that could come in the beginning. There's less employee overhead and other costs that come with that. But at the same time, you are going to lose the intellectual knowledge and the value of an in-house fleet manager brings. An in-house fleet manager, any fleet manager really, is a very well-educated professional, and they're a specialist in a very unique industry. And I think that it's really important that an organization who is looking at this should value, again, starting at the beginning, having an employee in-house working with the different departments, the customers. It's a very customer service driven, role within an organization that I think, the long-term impact of not having an in-house fleet manager, an employee who's vested within the company, would probably have long-term financial impact that the cost would start increasing. Myself, and I know other fleet managers and everybody that does this, we're constantly improving our professional development. We are attending conferences. We're going through NAFA certification, the CIFM program. We're constantly developing ourselves to better an organization and offer a greater value for an organization. I prepare tons of reports. I'm always looking at KPI. I prepare the budget. I know exactly what's going on within my company, and I can do that better. And if a high level manager is just overseeing an outsourced administration of a program, the long-term impact is going to have cost increasing, not being within budget.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think one of the biggest problems is that senior management often underestimates the complexity of fleet, the number of different areas that you're involved with. but let's build upon that further. I mean, because that is, you got to recognize reality. There is an ongoing trend where more and more companies are outsourcing their fleet administration to a third-party company, and what impact does that have on the role of future fleet managers?
Sure. And I just want to be clear, we like our third party companies. They are great consultants and they offer
Hmm.
great value. We use them, for the role that they offer, and I certainly don't want to speak negatively about them. But one of the greatest values I get in this industry is networking with my peers. I need to understand what other people are doing. I need to bounce ideas off of what I'm struggling with. And if I run into somebody who might be struggling with a similar problem, we can collaborate and talk together, and I can come back to the office and start making changes from what I learned. And hopefully I've helped somebody else if there's a problem that somebody else was experiencing that I've dealt with. Um, One thing that I've noticed is some of these outsourced fleet managers don't attend the same conferences, and we are missing that value of having somebody who's working on issues who may not be allowed to go to conferences, and there's less and less of us to bounce ideas off each other, and that's having an impact on the organization, on the industry, which would further result on having an impact on the
Hmm.
organization.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point there is, not only is the profession very complex, and it requires a lot of institutional knowledge and gain knowledge through experience in order to operate a fleet effectively and cost efficiently. Uh, it has grown in complexity where not just one person in a company can handle it on their own. You do need
Right.
outside support organizations that are assisting you in this area. Um, so, with that said, with the fact that there is this synergistic relationship between, your company, third-party companies on assisting and bringing this all about, as we move into the future, where are the new fleet managers going to be coming from within your organization? What's your feelings on that?
So I think that Steris is lucky enough that we have a fleet department. I have staff. We are a very diverse company. We have members of the fleet department across the globe who we're constantly working together. By having a fleet department, I have roles that need to be filled. And as there's turnover, or if people retire or move up within an organization, or leave on their own, I need to fill these roles, and I can fill them with experienced people within my organization. Um, Case in point, I've had three fleet administrators in the last 6 years, and each one that I've hired has come internally from within the organization. Um, and I get them from customer service. And customer service works directly with the field, so they already know the drivers and the fleet managers and have worked closely with them. So I have an inside scoop, if you will, with somebody who already understands our complex company and can fit into the role with an understanding of how the company works. So that
Mhm.
really benefits Steris. Um, I've only lost those fleet administrators because one had to move to a different state. One had a baby and decided to stay home. It's great.
Mhm.
And the third is here and hopefully is going to stick within this role and hopefully even develop into a management role. However, it's also a great stepping stone that could benefit another department within the organization. And I encourage that for any employee within my department that moves up within or within our company. It is only kind of like considered a feather in my cap that I've been able
Mhm.
to develop someone for advancement. But there's plenty of opportunities to bring people into my department from within the organization who understand the company. And I think if it's an outsourced role, you're always starting from scratch to bring someone in to support that, because you have to always bring in someone new, green, and doesn't really understand the complexities of our company.
Yeah, I've got my own theories as to where the future fleet managers will come from, and I think in the future it's going to skew younger, and I think in the future it's going to skew more on the technical side. And the reason why I think that is by the nature of how the position has evolved into working with cross-functional groups. For a younger manager, it's a great opportunity to gain exposure throughout your organization. So a lot of people can view fleet as being a great stepping stone. And as we all know, many people think of getting into fleet by accident and stay there. So it's that's, I think, going to be a good source for future fleet managers. The other thing is, with more and more data, where it really requires data in order to efficiently manage your fleet, I think there's going to be a great attraction there on attracting those people that have an inclination working with data analytics and so on, and plus having a lot more control as to how that data is put together and analyzed. Do you agree with those assessments, or
I,
what are your
I don't
thoughts?
I don't disagree at all. And I've been in the industry longer than I'd like to say, and I still like to think I'm young enough to understand some of the technology that's developing. But I have to tell you that, um, I see my own kids using technology at a much younger age than I have, and that's just going to be a part of their life. This is going to happen for people that are going to be growing up, going to college, and looking to move within an organization, corporate, government, or wherever they go, and they're going to have a much further advancement in some of the technology, and it's just going to be second nature to them. This is something they've always grown up with.
I agree. It's in my own kids also a little bit older, but very intuitive grasp of knowledge. And I predict that they're going to be the ones that are going to be demanding more technological applications and solutions be brought into the fleet management profession. So
Yeah,
with that, I want to thank you, Bob. We've kind of reached our allotted time, and I want to say thanks for a great conversation. I wish it could have lasted longer, but maybe we'll meet again. Thank you for joining
Mike,
us.
thank you. I really appreciate it.
Alrighty. Take care.
You too.